Righty. Hi, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hi. Let's see. We got some people here. Good. Hey, we're live. We're actually. I forgot to change the. I forgot because we're in the same room. I wonder if I can change the
name.
The name. Yeah, because it's not just Josh anymore. It's got you here. Settings. No. Well, whatever. Okay,
Yeah,
just
fine.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm Daniel Garnier. I work with Josh on the Spring team and also on the browser Tanzu ecosystem. I have my superhero shirt.
Yes.
And we're doing a session together at DevOps France today.
In like 50 minutes.
Perfect.
Right.
We're ready.
We're ready. So we're gonna do a quick thing here. Talk about what we're gonna talk about, and then go talk about it.
Exactly.
Right.
Warm up.
Preparatory presentation. So yeah, hi everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. We're in Paris, France, which is where they keep the good bread and the democracy. So good stuff. We're going to DevOps France.
Yes.
Big show.
Yes.
Biggest Java show on the planet at this point.
Huge. 4,000 people. Yeah.
Yeah. Really quite a spectacle. It's imagine Java 1, but on 2 different floors. Like it's enormous, absolutely enormous now. And we're going to be talking about security. And me, I get hives when I think about security. I like Spring Security because I don't want to have to think about security, right? But every now and then there's some new thing in security, and that requires a rethink on how you approach it. Laughing Logic, Adam, hi, is that Kenton? Kenta? No,
Kenton?
Kenta? I don't know, whatever. Anyway, good to see you all. So, by the way, sound off. Where are you all joining me from today? Where are you all joining us from in the chat? I just want to know. We're in Paris. We told you where we are. Maybe there's somebody here at the DevOps France. Anyway, there's a new paradigm in security right now, and this is it's very rare that so many disparate companies agree on something.
Right.
But around this, I think people have sort of gathered kind of consistently, which is passwordless authentication. What is that? Like, why would I do that instead of a username and password?
Right. We've had passwords for decades now, right? Everyone's using password, but hey, Marco, wow, it's been a while. So passwords, bad idea, right? They get leaked.
Right.
You're told not to reuse them, but you reuse them anyway. So when your petshop.com leaks your password, then suddenly attackers have access to your Gmail account or whatever.
Right, and then even worse if you use the same password in multiple places.
Exactly.
Now you're in real trouble,
Right. So everyone is convinced that passwords are probably not a good idea. So we invented the hack. And the hack was password managers, right?
Right, which is a Band-Aid.
Right. So we're still going to be using passwords, but we're going to be using stuff that is random, and you'll have this master password to lock the other passwords. But still, it's a hack on passwords.
And you're still using passwords, and somebody could grab that. Hopefully, it's unique. Hopefully, you're doing random generated passwords. But
yes. And so the new thing, it's been going on for a few years now, is passkeys.
Yes.
So authentication on the web using devices, so using cryptography.
Right.
And we don't want users to remember the 1,000 characters for their private key.
Right.
That would be inconvenient. We don't want users to be, Linux gurus that can generate an SSH key and load it in their agent and so on. We want everyone to be able to use this. And so the idea is we're going to use specialized devices to store these cryptographic entities. And it started with, physical devices, physical keys. Like I have one in my pocket. This here YubiKey. That's a physical thing. And I can use that, and it holds my private keys.
Is that a bit like a dongle from the 90s?
Exactly, right? So the dongle would, in general, generate OTP passwords, or have an OTP engine in it, and then they would use that, right?
That's
exactly. So it's a YubiKey we're using here. And so what we can do now is, with your Mac, with your Windows device, with your Android or iPhone or iPad, you can now have authentication using the built-in authentication mechanism. So, for example, on the Mac you have here, Josh, I can see you have a thumbprint, fingerprint reader, and so I can use that fingerprint reader now to log into a website.
You on your Mac.
Right.
On mine, it does nothing, which is the point, right?
Right, exactly. I can use my face using Face ID on my iPhone to log into GitHub.
Right.
And I can use that when I log into GitHub on my phone, but I can also go on GitHub on your computer and then click and say, I want to use a passkey and I want to use a nearby device, and I will use my device to log into GitHub on your Mac, right?
Into your account.
Into my account, of course. Yeah.
So obviously. And so the actual key itself is hidden. It's not stored in the cloud. It's stored in the device.
So it depends on which. So usually, if I'm using a YubiKey, obviously it's on the device.
Right.
If it's on my iPhone, it's
Face ID.
Yeah, right. It's storing the key in my iCloud account.
Right. Which you presumably trust more than you do.
Exactly.
Well, I trust Google and I trust GitHub, but maybe I don't trust random shop.
Exactly.
Why?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so at least I'm now using a trusted known thing, which is iCloud and their encryption. Right. If Apple can't store it securely, then who can? You know.
And so the idea is two things. Is one, it's secure.
Yeah.
But we already had this like OAuth thing for being secure already, right? OAuth, OpenIDs, federated login.
Well, that still requires a password, though, at some point, probably.
Well, I mean, that depends. The details of how you log into your OAuth provider.
It's not provided by the spec, but what is it going to be besides that up until passkeys, right?
But with this passkeys, the idea is like it's easy to use, right? Especially on a device. I go into a supermarket. I want to create an account and have a basket.
Right.
Then there's even a flow where I can create my account without a password, only my my device,
your factor, your
exactly
key,
right, exactly. And with this, I log in easily, and so that's why the folks who created this, so Apple, Microsoft, Google, they did this.
Again, imagine all these. They can't even agree on browsers, but we all agree on this,
And so they created this as part of the FIDO Alliance.
What does that mean?
And FIDO is Fast Identity Online.
Oh, hey, finally an acronym that kind of makes sense. Oh, when I think of FIDO, I think of the name for dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
Fetch, FIDO, fetch. And by the way, I think you just answered it, but what if somebody loses the device?
So that's a great question. So usually you won't put a single device, a single passkey on your account. Often it's used as a second factor mechanism. So for example, our corporate SSO, I do have to use my email, my password, and a second factor, which can be a push notification or whatever, or it can be a passkey. So now I just touch the sensor on my Mac. And so I have multiple of those. And so I would have to go and revoke, like to be secure, I would have to go and revoke that passkey where it's been used, right? Whatever, where it's been in the website in which it's been used, right? So if I registered it with GitHub and with, I don't know, Okta and Microsoft, then I would have to go to these websites and say, ooh, probably invalidate that key because I've lost it. Usually they have mechanisms built in so that it's not just a single factor. So,
well, and also these factors are a lot of times are tied to biometrics, which are even if you don't invalidate them, if somebody else has that key, they still don't have access to the ability to authenticate.
Maybe if they cut off my finger, I may be in trouble. But
well, then you have worse problems.
Yeah, exactly. Still, some of these have biometrics. You can also have a password. So this YubiKey is a physical USB dongle, and so it's a thing I have, but it also has a sort of master password, right? To protect
code or something.
So that if you steal my thing, then you can't use it because you also need to know the password,
right?
And so
the security has security.
Exactly, and so this one has two factors in it. That's why I can log in with this without using an extra password.
Okay, nice. So that's pretty good. So that's the use case, which is I want to. I mean, I can already open my phone with my face. I can already open my laptop with my digits.
But those were like platform things.
That's only an operating system, right?
For your device.
And annoyingly, I don't know actually. What does that look like for like Linux?
I did. It's a great idea.
Do they do Face ID there?
I don't think they do Face ID on Linux.
Does Windows? I mean, Windows must have support for Face ID.
So Windows has biometric support, and it has this like under the Windows Hello umbrella. Apple has their Face or Touch ID, and Windows has Windows LO. The thing is, like, these passkeys are just cryptographic credentials that you store somewhere, and so you can also store them in software. And so some password managers, I think 1Password and LastPass, can also store your passkeys.
Yep.
So instead of using a password manager that will like fill some
text
input, right, like copy values into text inputs on a website, if I click on sign in with a passkey and I use LastPass, whatever, then I can use that to store my credentials. And so
in that case, it's acting like iCloud.
Exactly.
Right. You don't need iCloud. It's being saved in a cloud of sorts.
Exactly.
Not your iCloud. It's saved in the password manager.
And it's probably like cached in your device and so on.
Okay. Super cool, right?
And Rob Winch, leader of the Spring Security lead, he's on Linux and he's working on this. And so he's definitely not using Touch ID for that. I think he uses a password manager to do his development.
Rob is proof that you can do anything on Linux. So we had him on the show here too. Actually, it might be fun to have him. So passkeys are just starting to rise. I mean, over the last 6 months, I've seen Google and YouTube and GitHub and these sites are all saying, hey, by the way, if you want to migrate to passkeys, we can do that now, right? That's all a recent thing.
Right.
So now I'm wandering around the web and I'm starting to like, instead of doing Command-Shift-L I do on my Mac to use Bitwarden to fill in a form. Now a lot of times I'm just doing touch and I'm logged into my freaking Gmail or something, which is cool. But that's a newish capability for everyone.
Right.
It's also new for Spring Security. It's not there yet, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not there yet. So we've been working on it. Rob has been pushing the effort. It's still so the capability is well supported by browsers, and we have a spec, but like it changes every 2 years or so. We're at version 3 now. So there's still some things to be figured out on what's the API for users. Because this is a browser capability. This is not a server thing. There's a server component to it because the login flow is, I go to the website and the website presents a challenge. I use the browser API to interact with a device that will sign the challenge cryptographically using my key, and then send back the signature to the server, and the server will validate the signature and say, yeah, that matches the public key you sent me earlier.
Okay.
So there's a server component where you do cryptography and you say, yep, correctly signed, it matches a known record of one of your keys. But then there's this layer of, well, the browser needs to access the hardware. And so the browser needs to call some JavaScript.
Right.
So there's an element of a JavaScript, JavaScript API. That's how you talk to the browser. Still better than Flash, eh?
No.
Wow.
No, definitely
not. Macromedia Flash?
Yeah, I'll take that any day. I would have taken ActionScript over the mess that is modern TypeScript and JavaScript any day times 10, 15 years ago. Much better language.
Java applets. All right. And so there's this JavaScript layer. So it goes through multiple phases in a flow. It starts on a server generating a challenge, then it goes to the browser, and it goes to your authenticator, back to the browser, back to the server. And so while it's not super hard to create a default experience, that you unbox, it has a page in it, right? You can click and you over like Touch ID, and then you're logged in. Making it extensible so people can plug this capability into their existing single page app, for example, is not as trivial. So we're still iterating on what do we expose, how do we make it consumable, so you can build your own,
JavaScript portal front end thing.
Yeah, whatever, or even a normal, you're using HTMX server rendered HTML, but you want custom HTML. Right. And then you want like custom interactions on the JavaScript because you have, I don't know, your text box is different or something. And so we can't just like force you to use this page. People wouldn't use the default, username and password login on Spring.
The white label login form you get from Spring Security.
It's great for getting started. For like understanding how it works. But people move beyond that. And so for passkeys, we want to do the same thing. So we want to help people move beyond the default. We want to easy experience when you unbox the thing and it works.
Right.
But then how do we make it even like do we make it friendly? We're plucking this like 250-page spec by the W3C, which is, it's at least it's secure. It's maybe not easy to use, but it's secure.
Yeah.
And so we want to understand it, use it, but then make it so that you don't have to understand it to use it, which is always a little bit, there's a balance to be found.
Sure. Right now, the happy path works fine in the Spring security support, but it's that extensibility that's lacking, I think, and we'll get there. Just give it another release. I think it's not going to be in this next Spring security release coming out next month.
Not 6.3,
but maybe 6 months after,
Yeah. 6.4, maybe 6.4.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, we'll ship it when
it's ready. Yeah.
When it's ready.
Yeah.
It has to be secure and it has to be extensible.
Right. The first part's there.
Yes.
Now we're working on the second part.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and the path is cool as hell, though.
Yeah, exactly. But we can't give you this hard-coded thing that you can't change. It makes no sense.
But the happy path right now, you add a jar, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 8 lines of Java code.
Yeah.
And then that's it. You're done. You're like, I have a web app now. It's a Spring app. I open the app in the browser, and it's like, oh, hey, do you want to log in with a passkey? Or do you log in with your password, username, log in, then you get shown a chance to register a passkey. You register it with whatever, your Face ID or Touch, whatever.
Or multiple. Yeah.
Multiple, yeah. And then log out, and then next time you can log in with that passkey. You can log in by touching or using your face or whatever. And it's just as simple as that. It does work. It's just not very pretty. So
yeah. And there are a lot of questions because you said username and password, but what if my primary login is not username and password?
Right.
I still have to tie this passkey abstraction to whatever is a logged in entity in my system. So like an authentication might not be username and password. The original
login that gets you to the place where you can then register a passkey
exactly.
may not be a username and password. That's true.
Right. And then we have to do the other flows. Like, what if you still want to keep username and password, but you want a second factor, which is a passkey?
Right.
Or what if you want to create an account with just a passkey?
Right.
There's a bunch of...
You accept it with that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Clearly some wrinkles. But it's really, really promising. And actually, the result is one of those rare unicorns that we very rarely get to see in the world, which is better security while also being more convenient. Usually security is, it's cumbersome and a pain in the butt, But now with this, it's the best of both worlds. It's easier for everybody to use, and it's the better secure product. Amazing result.
And I know you're excited to integrate this with a Spring authorization server.
Yes, imagine that. Imagine I log into the auth server, and instead of doing
username
and password, as presumably I set up a form there to register users, whatever. Instead of doing that, I just do a passkey.
Right. Exactly.
And then now I log into another app, and it says, "Oh, hey, you're not logged in." Redirects me to the auth server. I do my Touch ID or Face ID or whatever, and then it redirects me back. That'd be slick, When would that happen? That's going to happen after the base stuff in Spring Security, I guess.
Definitely.
Oh, man. How does validation work? Cryptography. I don't know.
Magic. We take some bits and then we shake them together. So So when you register a passkey, you get this pop-up in your browser. So either it's a operating system pop-up or a browser-specific thing that tells you, oh, you want to register a passkey. What kind of passkey do you want? Do you want Face ID? Do you want a device? Whatever. And then you select and then you click on the device because you have to be present. We don't want any website to be hammering your device with requests to try and crack your private key. And so at the moment you click on the authenticator and you say, yes, I want to generate something for this website, is going to generate a private key and a public key for this user for this website. And so in your authenticator, so either in your key, in your Face ID, we're going to store the private key and keep it secret and link it to that domain, so to joshlong.com. And then the public key, we send that to the server, so to joshlong.com. And joshlong.com will hold that public key and link it to your account, to Daniel, for example. Next time when I come in, the joshlong.com will ask me to prove that I have this private key.
Right.
And so I will do a cryptographic signature It will send me something. I'll sign it, send it back, and then using the public key is going to say, does this signature match what needs to be signed? Yes. Then it proves you have a private key, so I'm going to let you in. So it's not like MTLS. It's more like a JWT, right?
A JWT token.
Right.
Okay.
It's a JWT token. More like a JWT token in the sense of like someone holds something private, signs something with it, and then the rest of the world can validate whether it's a legit signature or a fake one.
I see. I don't understand most of what you just said. I just trust that it works. It's really slick to see it work. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's I'm really excited that this is a thing that people can look forward to very soon. It's really, really cool. I can't wait for you all to see it. The video from DevOps France, I think, will be
interesting.
published, I hope. So,
soon.
If you want like the more in-depth, more more bits per minute demo, then stay tuned. I'm sure I can post a link to our presentation there.
Definitely,
yeah. Where do people? We got to run. So, friends, I hope you got something out of this, but we have to run. We have to go. It's not far. It's like it's the other way. We have to run across the street,
right,
to this giant conference with, several thousand people just running around.
Grab some coffee.
Coffee is key when you do a Java presentation. I found that to be a truism. So, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Hope you got something out of it. Hey, somebody said thanks. Thanks for joining us. I know it's what time is it? It's 2 o'clock here, so 7 in the morning in California, and then 10 in the morning in New York, and
right.
Yeah, it's early yet in the US, and it's
late in Australia.
Late in Australia, yeah. So I think this is actually the best time.
Yeah.
To think that everybody's still awake.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If people in Australia are awake, then Asia's definitely awake.
Yeah. Well, it's maybe late. Yeah, 10 p.m. Like
very
late show in bed. Amazing.
Yeah.
Better than Netflix.
Exactly. All right. Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Cheers. See you around.